on here before. After we come back from the intro, we'll talk a little bit more about him. But thank you so much for watching tonight. I know it's been a while, the last couple weeks. I've had so much going on with work. I haven't been able to get on. I know I have a few shows to catch up on, and a few promotions just to talk to you guys about. But thank you so much for watching. We got a great episode for tonight. Daniel's going to help me read the story. He's going to talk a little about what he does, and then we're going to get into my story of reflections. It's a fun one that I kind of wrote a few years ago that I rather enjoy. So let's go ahead and get to the intro, and I will see you guys on the other side. Welcome back, everybody, and thank you again for joining me for another episode. Again, short stories from the mind of a madman. It's my series I have for my short stories that I write every week. It's a podcast that I do. So if you are on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Facebook, Goodreads, Reddit, I post my podcast to all of those. Almost immediately, at least in the podcast form, audio, it shows up on iTunes and SoundCloud and Spotify pretty much immediately after the upload. So make sure you get a chance to check those out. I have a special guest with me tonight, Antonio Garcia. He's been on here a few times, so you might recognize him. He is the lead singer of the band BiPolar Oppisites. He's also been my little brother. So he comes out here from time to time to help me with my voices. I had him bring out some merchandise today because he just did a show a few weeks ago, correct?
A couple weeks ago.
A couple weeks ago we did a show. So one thing we're working on is making sure that we get some merchandise out for this band. So what I'm going to do is I'll just let Daniel talk a little bit about the band, maybe some upcoming events that they got coming up. I know you guys are working on a new CD. You guys write some more songs or trying to? Or
yeah, we're writing right now. We've actually just booked some studio time for next month, actually.
Okay.
We're kind of grinding right now, trying to get all our eggs and our ducks in a row, make sure we're ready to get back in the studio. But a lot of people have been asking us when the next album's coming. We're on it. We're actually got studio time booked now, so we're getting back in next month. So hopefully that'll make some people happy.
All right, I'm going to fix the look on Instagram real quick. Go ahead and show us your merchandise.
Yeah, so we just started a Teespring. You can find us on teespring.com, BiPolar Official, or just do a search on Google for BiPolar Oppisites Official on Teespring. We've got all kinds of stuff on there. We got little shirts. It's got our logo on it. We even got face masks. You guys can stay safe while you're out in public and help promote the band at the same time. So I'm pretty excited. We've got tote bags, we've got leggings, we've got all kinds of stuff, stickers and phone cases, all kinds of stuff. So just go to teespring.com and search for BiPolar Oppisites Official, and you'll find our store. And it'd be great if you get on there and help us out, get yourself some merch before the next album comes out.
Yeah, I'll actually have the link below. So right now it kind of does the generic, Antonio Garcia is live.
Mm-hmm.
But I go back and I put these links to his website, to his Teespring. I put that in the link below. So if you're watching this live, check back in tomorrow. And also don't forget to check out the website, BiPolarOppisites.com. Do you have the link on there yet for Teespring?
No, I'll put it. It'll be up there.
Yeah, so he's gonna work on that, but at the very least, I'll have the link on here too. But plus, on Facebook, look up.
Check us out on Facebook.
BBO
Check
Rocks
us out on YouTube, on iTunes, on Google Play Music. And if you like what you hear,
Spotify too. Their CD is on Spotify. Bars and Churches.
Bars and Churches is our first album. Yep.
Yeah. So these guys are great guys. I try to make out those shows whenever I can. But yeah, if you want, to support, local music, definitely. Helps a lot.
We're
buy
like
the merchandise.
We're like 930 likes on Facebook or something. So if you guys want to hop on there and push us over 1,000, that'd be pretty awesome.
Make it an even 1,000. That would be great. But absolutely, because I know a lot of guys from a lot of different bands. I used to have Coco Total Music. I used to follow bands years ago and do interviews with them and stuff. And bands, they go out, they pour their hearts out. Some write their own music, some do covers, but they work hours upon hours to put together these performances. They don't make a lot of money at the show. They do it because they love the music. So if you want to support these local bands and BiPolar Oppisites in particular, make sure you take a look at their CD. Let's do it on Spotify. They get helps them with that. Follow them on Facebook. Make sure you like them on YouTube. Buy their merchandise. You get T-shirts and masks, and you get leggings, so you get a product but you're supporting a local band in the process, their CDs and stuff. So all that kind of goes towards helping. I myself even have one on. This is actually a custom shirt that I'll be selling on mine. STFU and Write. I'm coming out with a bunch of writer shirts. You saw one a couple weeks ago that I wore. I'm a writer. I create and destroy whole worlds. That one is on my merchandise site as well, and then of course STFU and Write. So I'll be coming out with some like inspirational shirts like this all the time. So you can also support my writing by checking out my merchandise as well too. That link will also be in the description below. Just a couple things real quick before we start. I am the author of the novel Sins of the Fathers. So this one came out in 2015. Please, if you get a chance, go out and take a look at this. It's on Amazon. Also, you can get signed copies on my website, and I sign them and I ship them out. Matter of fact, if anybody buys in between shows, I actually at the end of each episode, I'll do a live book signing, and then the next day mail this out to you. So take a look at that. I also have this one when I was doing personal training, weight loss for the rest of us. It came out in like 2012. Take a look at that. I'm very excited that I do have a new book coming out. It'll actually be, it's on pre-order right now for $9.99. It's my short stories from the mind of a madman, just like the show, just like my podcast. It's 25, my first 25 original shows. The one we're doing tonight, Reflections, is in here. These are the abridged versions, just like I record them. So this is my first book coming out. I'm actually hit 50 stories today. So today I posted a new short story, and it's 50. So I'll actually be working on volume 2, which is my next 25 short stories. So at the end of the show, I'm going to tell you how you can get a free copy of volume 2, okay, by taking a look at volume 1. So, and I do have, like I said, this is on pre-order. I ordered 50 copies. They're coming in. They'll be here August 15th and 17th that weekend. So August 20th, I'll be doing a live book signing for people who pre-ordered my book, and then I'll be mailing them out the next day. So make sure you get a copy of this while they're $9.99, because they will be going up to $12.99 and staying there once I publish them, and then I'll maybe periodically have sales, but you're going to save some money by getting them now. So okay, so tonight we're taking a look at Reflections. This is kind of a fun story. This one, as a writer, one of the shirts I'm working on right now is, I'm a writer. I see stories everywhere, and I do. So this one right here is one that I found kind of interesting. It's a one where every shiny surface, a mirror, a reflection, is it's an alternate universe, that you get to see, and most of us don't pay attention when we're passing mirrors and shiny things, so we may not even notice there's some kind of discrepancy if you're looking a different direction. A lot of times, we pay attention to mirrors when we're looking at ourselves in a mirror, but if we're walking past a shiny surface, we may not realize that that's not really us. It's actually an alternate dimension. So this one is a story of that, reflections, and the guy starts to see himself and starts to notice these other dimensions. So I'm kind of excited about that. So Daniel's going to help me with the voice. Voice is going to be playing the main character, Ron. So I will be doing the narration, and I'll be doing at least one female voice. I'm not sure if there's any others in there, but so might have to do any more muffled voices. I'll maybe add some accents in there, make it more interesting.
I'm putting my acting hat on tonight too.
Yeah, we rehearsed a little bit before this, so I really got to see some of the acting chops. I'm expecting a lot from tonight.
I'm going dramatic tonight, as you see it.
And yeah, so let's go ahead and get to the short story. And feel free to comment, to rate Daniel on his acting based on how well he does tonight. It's all about he enjoys criticism. Doesn't even have to be constructive. Any kind of criticism he likes.
Hashtag roast.
Yeah, makes him feel better. He knows what to do with his life to make himself better. So he's my younger brother, so I built him up by tearing him down when he was younger, and now it's your turn. So
definitely tore me down.
Yeah, definitely worked. Look at him. He's so happy. No, that's another thing I want to point out too. Him and his wife celebrated the 20th anniversary.
Yep,
so
last week.
That is super exciting. And of course, they did not get to go to Italy. They had plans the whole year. I might be just as bummed as they are because I was really excited. I mean, 20 years is a huge mile marker.
Yeah.
Love Melissa, sister-in-law, 20 years, 21 years. Well, 22. You guys know each other a couple years past.
Yeah, 22 years. 22 years.
So she's had to put up with me for that long as well, which I think in itself deserves Italy.
It's been at least equally as hard as managing.
It has. I mean, we're essentially the same. And before I myself got married, at one point I was pretty much like another child or a drunk brother-in-law. So it's still put up with a lot. So I appreciate that. She might even be watching. So Melissa, I love you. We're going to eat in Italy. Hopefully next year, be able to use this out to get out there And buy some merchandise so they can, have even more of a good time when they're out there. Right? Exactly. All right. Might even have some like BiPolar underwear by them. That's what I'm looking forward to.
I'm shopping around.
Good. Just make sure.
Even if I just get the one pair for myself, if I can just.
Silk. If it's silky, the better. That's all I gotta say.
That's what I'm looking for.
Very European. I like that. Gotta get the right mentality.
Yep.
All right. You ready to get into this? All right. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna do the narration. Do not criticize me. You can criticize him. He becomes a better person based on that.
He really can't.
Don't. Yeah. I mean,
he does not handle
I
it
look
well.
like a big daddy. I'm a big daddy. I cry.
He was crying before we started today.
I might not even make it to the end of the show. So, I don't know, so we'll see. All right. All right. So let's take a look at this. All right. So most people go through their daily lives not realizing that there were thousands, if not millions, of alternate universes existing alongside ours. Whenever you make a decision in an alternate version of our universe, you decided differently. In this universe, you decided to go left to stop by a local Starbucks to get a coffee before work. In another one, you went right to work to get there early. Most decisions lead to the same pivotal points in your life, seemingly unaffecting your life in any discernible way. But sometimes a simple decision to go right instead of the left could start a chain of events that lead to your death. Well, I really went more with that, didn't I? I could have said led to, unforeseen events or, surprises. But no, I went straight for that. We kind of knew where the story's going. Come on. If you read it,
you gotta hook them at the beginning.
You gotta hook them at the beginning. So this is one of those things where when you go back and read it, you're like, oh, I know why you put death there instead of marriage or anything else in there. Yeah, I go through dark periods of my time, so most of the time these stories don't not end happily at all. Often there are moments when you are the only one in the neighboring universes that passes by a particular reflective surface at the exact moment in time. Or your other self is in the reflection, but not in the same exact spot as you. These times, if you were paying attention, you would see that your reflection is just a little bit or a lot off. In the end, though, how many of us really pay attention to each reflective surface we pass? And if we do, how many of us really pay enough attention to notice that something minor is off, like an exhale instead of an inhale, or a hand curled slightly differently? So I hooked you right there. You don't really know. You have no idea. All right. Ron, okay, now we're going to get to the story. That was the prelude. That was getting you psyched up.
That was, Rod Serling in the original Twilight Zone series. That's exactly what that was. That intro.
That was. I didn't have my cigar with me, but thought about that. Most of my stories don't start with like a prelude. They just go right into the murder and death. But this one I decided to go ahead and just like, hey, just to give you an idea of what I'm going to be ready to put my brother through to. As you can see, behind the scenes recorded when I do this podcast, you can definitely see me make a lot more mistakes than this, because I've actually had some practice in. All right, Ron was ready for another day at work. Recently, he had been promoted and even been given his own office. It seemed he had been making all the right decisions and life was good.
Hey, Marie,
he said, walking past the front receptionist. Hi, Ron, she replied, and then with a smile, sir.
Yeah, right.
I should say, simp. I think that's a new term going around. You heard
What
that?
is simp?
Simp? Oh, I don't know what the exact letters stand for. I can't remember.
Well, don't be throwing it around.
But no, I did Google it, so I do know what it means. It's being subservient to or putting a woman on a pedestal. So it means you're a guy that puts girls on pedestals or thinks very highly of them. So you're subservient to them. All right. So
All you can think of when you say it's
okay. Because of the whole coronavirus thing, I've been watching TikTok. I can't help it. I didn't want to get on it, and if it wasn't for the fact that the whole COVID thing was going on, I would not be on TikTok.
Hey man, nobody's judging you for
But
that.
like every other video, it's hashtag simp. So I finally looked it up to see what it was, and apparently it's a thing. So.
You know what makes me think of? 40-year-old virgin when they keep telling him, stop putting it on the pedestal. You can't put it on
He
the
was a
pedestal.
simp. He was a simp.
He was a
And
simp.
I think in today's time, that wasn't 3 years ago, which sir was more appropriate, but if it was written today, then I definitely, what's her name, Marie would be going, what was it say? Simp. I think that would be.
I know this is really a sign of the times when he wrote this that the receptionist has to call the guy sir, dude. It's,
I might have been thinking 1950s, 1960s, you don't know. You know, I've been watching a lot of Star Trek lately, the old original Star
Stories
Trek.
from the Mind of a Madman is going to be canceled.
And I tell you what, I like watching like right. I've watched the original Star Trek. I love Star Trek, right? And I've been watching some of the episodes, and it's kind of funny the way they talk about women on there. So I'm like, I didn't realize, like,
Oh, yeah.
I grew up with, you know,
It's
watching
Kirk, man.
right, but
Kirk's
all
the
of them
worst.
are like that. They come across a new species, and she said, so it's like, don't worry, she's only a woman, or it's just a womanly way. I'm like, holy crap! Like I don't remember this when I was watching.
Good old days.
How we right.
That was the
How the
show.
roles have turned. Now we're sips. Now we're the ones that put them on pedestals.
Stop saying we.
I figure if I say enough, I figure if I say enough, they'll catch on. They got me on it. You're next. You want me to walk around.
Stop.
Hashtag Sim.
Mentions are gonna happen.
God, I hope I Google that right too. And then Google some other word, and now people are like, "Oh shit, that's not what that means at all."
I'm curious to Google it. You put it out there already. I'm not
It is.
using it.
So maybe I'll put that in the description below too. SIMP. Sounds like you make a pretty good song.
All right,
All
you were calling me sir, right?
Yes, I was. 'Cause I'm my brother.
Because you're a receptionist.
I'm a receptionist, and that's professional way of talking to your superiors. Ron smiled back. His promotion wasn't that big of a deal, and no one was going to start calling him sir, but he appreciated our adulation.
Thanks, Marie.
He said, walking past her to get to his office. The rest of his workday consisted of handshakes and a lot more work piling up on his desk. By the time 5 o'clock rolled around, arrived, he was ready to leave, to get home and relax. Walking home, he was feeling good. He had worked hard to get to where he was, and he wanted to start looking for ways to enjoy the finer things in life. He stopped in front of a store window to admire the mannequins in their nice outfits.
I can pull that one off.
He thought admiring a winter attire combination. I wonder if that's how it really is when you start becoming successful. I've never been successful enough to where I walk past the store, you know, like, and see the mannequins in front, like,
I've never been attractive enough.
it's not successful enough.
That's it. I've never been as attractive as the mannequins wearing the clothes.
I can't even go to big and tall because I'm not tall. So it's like, there's no store for me. I was like, I can't go to, I used to try to buy some like Mark Anthony shirts, man. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool. And I put it on and realized apparently all Mark Anthony's are like this, like very, very wide. They're not, there's no room or
They're very
give.
wide.
Not very, not very O's.
Damn Latinos.
Damn food. That's what it is.
Damn food.
Something caught his attention out of the corner of his eye. Across the street was a man standing, wearing a black trench coat and a baseball cap. He seemed to be watching him. When he turned to get a better look at the guy, he was gone. Ron didn't know why, but he felt a sense of dread grow within him, and he quickly walked away from the store, continuing home. As the evening progressed, he couldn't shake the image of the man who seemed to be watching him from across the street, and then suddenly disappeared. My little product placement.
Oh.
So he finished his night reading a book called Sins of the Fathers by Antonio Garcia. Hashtag cool book. I don't know, pretty lame. He read every night until his eyelids began to get heavy. This is not to say he fell asleep because it was boring.
It kind of implies that he fell asleep.
I know. When you read that earlier tonight before we went live, and I heard you say that, I'm like, that makes it sound like my book sucks.
It's not. It's a good book.
I should have said he woke up and read the book to wake him up every morning. Like, you know, that makes sense.
Gets him going.
That's what people do, right? People wake up and they read a novel before they go to work. Not the newspaper, but...
I mean, successful people, I imagine, do that.
That's how I envision it. Let's see. He laid the book down and walked to the bathroom to brush his teeth. He was brushing his teeth, half awake, when suddenly he dropped his toothbrush. It made a clink as it fell into the sink. That was important, I don't know why. The cause of him dropping his toothbrush was so suddenly that when he glanced up in the mirror, he saw the same man who had been watching him earlier, now standing in the bedroom. Realizing that he had been noticed, the man charged at Ron. Ron turned to face his attacker, but when he turned, the man was gone.
Shit, I'm losing my mind.
Ron paused as his chest heaved. I even give you direction on how you should be looking to read
I didn't see
that.
it. You should have highlighted that too. I could have integrated that too.
Heaved. I love when I put the words in stories. As a writer, you notice this sort of thing. You kind of notice like when you put like...
When I think of cheat, like heaving chest, I don't think of. I don't think of a guy named Ron with his heaving chest.
He heaved.
His chest heaved.
We should wait till after the show before we drink. Started too early, man. We're having way too much fun here. He let out a sharp cry as he turned back to the mirror to see its reflection. The man was back, this time seemingly dragging Ron out of the bathroom and into the bedroom. It's a strange sensation to see that your own reflection has been replaced with a reflection of you being attacked while the real you stands watching. Ron did not know how to react. The reflection was so real that he could almost feel the struggle the other him was in. It's kind of weird, talking like a lot of he's and hymns to himself. What?
So in his reflection, he saw a guy
so
drag himself into the bedroom.
Yeah, exactly. Seeing another version of him being drugged into the bedroom.
That's crazy.
I know. The fact that he has described that makes me feel like I should put more. You know, my writing sucks. I just give up. I give up. I can't take
I've been
criticism of
drinking
people.
too, man. It's cool. That's all it is. I started drinking as soon as I got here.
He doesn't see it like I'm meant to be seen. Alright, let's see. Ron didn't know how to react. The reflection was so real, he could almost feel the struggle the other him was in. But every time he turned away from the mirror towards his bedroom, it was serenely quiet. His brain tried to rationalize what was happening. Oh, yeah, I highlight this because you know it's not in parentheses still.
Have I been drugged? Am I hallucinating? Is this the future I'm witnessing? What the hell is going on?
The questions we ask ourselves when we see ourselves being murdered in our mirrors. All these questions ran through his mind as he tried to understand what he was seeing. The two struggling men would disappear around the corner, only to reappear moments later. Every time the men disappeared, Ron would run out of the bathroom to see if he could see what was happening, but each time he ran to an fairly quiet room with no signs of distress. In the end, he watched the other him struggle, while his attackers choked him from behind. Slowly, the other him struggled less, as the strength seemed to fade, and eventually fell limp. His attacker laid Ron's twin on the ground and placed his fingers to Ron's double's neck. As you see, this is very fun to write. His attacker laid Ron's twin on the ground and placed his fingers on Ron's double's neck to ensure he was dead.
You got it.
Keep it together, man. Satisfied that the deed was done, the attacker walked into the bathroom, and Ron found himself looking at the man looking at him. The attacker was standing in front of Ron as if he was now Ron's own reflection. The man's face had been previously hard to discern. As the man removed his hat and now stood in the bright light of the bathroom, Ron could see who his doppelganger's killer was.
What?
Ron asked himself. He had recognized the man immediately. Here's where you find out about the deed that was done.
Don't spoil it.
Oh, sorry. Hashtag spoiler. He was the husband of the woman he knew. She was a co-worker, and he had begun an affair. They had worked on a project together, and after working late for a couple of weeks, they began to meet at the hotel 2 or 3 times a week once the project had ended. Ron had ended it after having met her husband at the company's Christmas party. Before, the husband was just a name. But after he had met him face to face, guilt overcame him, and he had ended the affair immediately after. He watched as the husband splashed some water on himself and looked into the mirror. He didn't seem to be able to see Ron. Ron continued to watch as the man walked back into the bedroom and dragged the other body out of sight. Ron didn't know what to do next. He could no longer see what was happening. He couldn't call the police. What would he tell them anyways? All they could do was continue to watch. As a short time later, the husband walked past the bathroom on his way out of the bedroom. Sleep did not find Ron that night. As he lay in bed, he felt that he was laying where his other self may have been placed. The next day, he went through the day in the days. That's like one of those tongue twisters. And trust me,
You wrote several in here. This is fun to watch.
When I do this on like my podcast, you think I pick up on the lessons. So that's what I kind of go back and fix some of this later on as I listen to it. Yeah, the next day he went through the day in the days. I feel like I could have been a rapper if I didn't make this right. Days. What? Oh man, as he drank coffee after coffee, trying to keep himself awake. He saw Mindy, the woman he had an affair with, but avoided her each time he saw her. Finally, 5 o'clock arrived, and he was able to leave for the day. He didn't want to go home, but he was too tired to do anything else. As he walked down the street towards his apartment, he stopped by another store window to examine his appearance. He looked as bad as he felt. Ron froze as his reflection turned away from the window and walked the crosswalk. He couldn't help but stare. He watched as his other self looked both ways and seeing no car, began to cross. All of a sudden, the car appeared to the side of the window's reflection. It raced towards his double, who was still crossing the street. His other self had barely enough time to see the car before it struck him, sending his body flying through the air and landing hard on the ground. Ron couldn't hear anything, but could imagine the sound the car hit the body made. He barely noticed where the car had gone. He couldn't take his eyes off the other body lying dead on the ground. He wanted to scream, but as before, when he turned away from the window, there was no body. When he looked back at the window, he froze as he saw the body in the street begin to fade, and Ron was left with no reflection staring back at him. Not able to cope with not having a reflection at all, he ran away. He stopped at a car window and took solace in the fact that his reflection was once again staring back at him. He never felt so alone before. Watching himself die over and over again felt like he was slowly fading himself. As the day came to an end, he couldn't stop looking over his shoulder, expecting the husband to be there to attack each time. Every time he passed a reflection, he was afraid that he would witness another version of him being murdered again. Did I not have the highlights?
Sorry. No, it's not. It's okay.
Oh. Hold on, get that.
There has to be a way to make this right.
He thought. He considered calling Mindy to convince her to help him somehow. Without calling the police, only to tell them who the killer most likely is if he ever turns up dead. Just so you know, Daniel. I don't know.
Get
Yeah, I know. No, I was gonna say like if I ever like.
Oh, if you ever turn up dead?
Actually, it wouldn't be him.
No, not me.
I don't know who would. Actually, I don't really. Not even my ex-wife would kill me, really. You know. Depends what. Yeah, if it had to be somebody. If it had to be somebody with my poison, I guess that would make sense. But I really don't. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. So
I mean, it's a good thing not to have any life-threatening enemies, I guess, man.
But just so you know that I do, I may think about this now that I've read the story and read it. So if something does happen to me, look where I'm pointing. Look what I've written in blood, or look, I might have left some clue.
We're definitely the type that's gonna.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have I might have a book open with my finger to a name on a page. Don't just clean up the mess.
Tony's probably more likely to leave clues in blood than actually dial 911.
And yeah. And it really kind of depends on how slowly I'm dying, how much I can write. So it could be just a start of a name, or it could be a long look.
His phone was right there. Why did he spend all this time
today
writing?
12:03. The murderer was.
He didn't call the cops. No,
He wrote on the wall. He's a writer. He doesn't really trust the phones. Just listen in. He's more of a communicator through telegraph.
He can't even read it. It's all tongue twisters.
The days. I died the days. By Dave.
So my Dr. Seuss.
Was he a rapper? No, I think he was a writer. Holy crap. Where am I now?
He barely.
If he ever turned up dead. Unsure of what to do, he walked as quickly as he could back to his apartment, locking the door behind him. Oh, that was the wrong inflection. Unsure what to do, he walked as quickly as he could back to the apartment, locking the door behind him. I did this when I recorded too, how the wrong inflection like that. Locking the door behind him? as if at the beginning of the sentence. Lock the door behind him, comma, but actually that's the end of the sentence, so locking the door behind him. Very important. It's very important when you put these podcasts out that your reflections make sense. And that's all people know is what they hear. He could barely glance at his bathroom mirror as he passed. As soon as he saw his reflection in his apartment window, he quickly closed the curtains. He fell to his bed, unable to breathe. Wasn't sure how he was supposed to continue living, never being able to look into a mirror again. Staring at the ceiling, he contemplated how he was going to keep from going insane. He envisioned himself taping up the windows, covering all the mirrors, and never leaving his apartment again. After a short time, he took in a deep breath and said out loud,
I'm being crazy.
Crazy! Cray. I should put cray. See, I wrote this 3 years ago. It wouldn't make any sense. Now if I put cray in there.
See, this is where we're different. Because if we were reversed and I knew you were coming over to read, I definitely would be changing some lines in here just to make you say some some more ridiculous things than what is in the original story.
And you would think I would like to be able to plan ahead like that, but as Daniel will contest, when he got here, I wasn't even home because I had to run to Walgreens. I ran out of paper to print out these papers on. So my day job is really cutting into my like non-profitable work.
Yeah, I hate work cuts in the hot.
Buy more shirts, people. That way I can like focus on writing and not. Where am I here? Let's see. Oh, here. Letting out a quiet, insane laugh. I like that.
Yeah.
There we go. He decided up and walked to the bathroom to wash up before bed. He picks his head up. He picks his head in the bathroom. He has a quick look at his reflection. Seeing that it was only him. He wasn't being murdered. Seeing that it was only him and he wasn't being murdered, he slowly walked into the bathroom. Cautiously, he began to brush his teeth. He dropped his toothbrushes. He saw the husband quickly walk into the bathroom and attack his reflection. Once again, he spun around and saw no one there. Not wanting to watch himself be murdered again, he ran out of the bathroom. After he was able to calm himself down, he took another deep breath and walked back into the bathroom.
My chest heaving.
Eve.
I'm not going to let this ruin my life.
Okay, that was more diaphragm. Eve.
I was giving the performance of a lifetime, and you're just over here talking over it. Are you ready?
Okay, sorry, you're right, you're right. And action. Okay, I'm gonna say action because we're taking this line serious, alright? And action.
I'm not going to let this ruin my life.
He stated.
I might overplay that.
That's alright. What's a different word for stated for how he actually put it? He emphasized or he
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe you're the writer.
I know. As soon as I try to think of it, I usually can do that. Try to think of different ways, but couldn't do it. He'd been over to moving on. He'd been over to splash some water on his face, and when he came back up, he jumped again as he saw the husband once again into the bathroom and attack his reflection.
Keep it together. Keep it together.
He repeated to himself. He looked down into the sink long enough to allow the attacker to disappear from the reflection. When he felt he had been long enough, he looked back up. But instead of it being clear, the mirror showed the husband standing at the entrance of the bathroom staring at him.
Get out of here,
he said to himself, turning around and leave. When he turned away from the mirror, he froze and saw the husband still standing in the entrance. Before Ron could say or do anything, the man attacked, stabbing him several times. Bleeding, Ron turned away from his attacker and saw another him watching him die. His reflection looked on, his eyes filled with terror. Yeah, that's just the top of that.
Oh, okay.
Dun dun dun.
That was good.
Right? I did.
That was good.
I did enjoy that one. And actually,
My performance.
oh yeah, that was yeah.
The story was good.
Don't feel the remember, he likes criticism.
I enjoy that, man. That was like classic, like Twilight Zone type.
I think I definitely enjoyed writing that story. And next week is actually fun too. Because actually I might try to see if I get maybe a Missing Crystal, or I got some other people I'm trying to reach out to come on called Flicker. That one I had a fun writing too. That was kind of like kind of an action-packed, people dying.
Did you do an audio podcast of that one?
Yeah, all these all have audio podcasts.
Oh,
So all these.
I know I've listened to
Yeah, so all these are on there. So thank you. So that was my story reflections. Daniel, thank you so much for helping me out with that. The voices. Make sure you check out BiPolar Oppisites at bporocks.com.
Look us up on Facebook.
On Facebook, I will have the links to the website and Facebook and Teespring in the description below. So make sure you check back maybe tomorrow, or if you're already watching this in the future, try to get me in the description below. Make sure you check that out and go check it out. Also, be sure to take advantage of the pre-order for my book, Short Stories in the Mind of a Madman. 25 original short stories. This book is now published. You can actually buy it on Amazon now for $12.99, but why when you can like still pay the pre-order cost for $9.99? Huh?
I can watch this on Facebook.
Yeah. That way you can get on Facebook Live and see that maybe it's not even streaming, or there's no sound, or it's choppy. Every week something's going on this podcast. We tested the sound a little bit before we started, and the sound was just right. Oh, you're live now, like you're watching yourself, like as it is.
It's like Inception.
How do I look? Am I sucking it in enough? I feel like I'm sucking it in enough. I can't.
You're not.
Damn it! I have the book right here. Just no, look away. So this is $9.99. I'll have this in the link in the description below. Anybody who pre-orders my book for $9.99 will be entered to win Volume 2 for free. Volume 2 is pretty much, I finished my 50th stories. The next 25 are going to probably be available in September or October. So I'm actually about 160 stories behind. I started this May 9, 2017, writing a story a week because of life and everything else. I kind of fallen behind. Normal people would probably tell me, or nice people, or loving people would probably tell me, just start fresh. One story a week now. Just pick up your notes, load yourself. No, I started this journey in 2017. I'm not playing that game of starting fresh now, so I'm catching up. So right now I'm writing 3 to 5 short stories a week, posting 3 a week, 2 podcasts a week. So I'm supposed to have volume 11 already out by now, so I'm, and novellas.
You're setting your own deadline.
I'm setting my own deadline, so, but the point is that volume 2 is already going to be coming out here in a couple of months. So anybody who pre-orders this for $9.99 will be entered to win a free copy of volume 2. When this goes up to $12.99 and volume 2 comes out, that'll be obviously pre-order for $9.99 as well too. So if you're looking for other ways to support, help support my writing and things like that, check out my merchandise as well. My links are on my website, as well as I'll put the links down below here too. Most of my shirts here are going to be more towards writers and readers, things like that. But I'm going to try to have some funny sayings like this, STFU, and right. I also have coffee cups and stuff like that. Also, if you would like on Patreon, I don't know how many of you are familiar with that, but if you are not on Patreon or if you are Patreon, please check it out, patreon.com, Antonio Garcia Books. You can become a patron for $1 a month. $1 a month, you'll be able to see live stream my behind the scenes recordings of my podcast. So when I do these stories, my podcast, I actually live stream that, but only people on Patreon can see. And you can join in, you can actually have a conversation and talk. And also, all of my stories are posted on Patreon first. So if I write 3 to 5 stories this week and I record them this weekend with the podcast, they'll actually be posted this weekend. So you can actually read my stories days, weeks, or even months before they're posted on Facebook and Goodreads or anywhere else. So just for $1 a month, you can help support my writing, and you can also have access to behind the scenes from the podcast and that too. So. Dan, you should look at that as well too for your band. People love behind the scenes. Patreon is a great way to support creators, kind of like Twitch, but for creators and not gamers as much. It's more for anybody that has a podcast and writers and things like that. They can a lot of YouTubers have Patreon to help support their products. So it's more for creators, but it's great for bands too because it's a great way for people to do a subscription where they can get shirts, CDs, behind the scenes, and special access. So I do the same thing. So please check that out. Also, and I think that's pretty much, join me again next week as we get into, it might be Wednesday or Thursday, we'll get into my short story Flicker, which is a horror one, which I try to not do as much horror as possible. Oh, my little meaty. That's one thing I did want to point out. I had a friend, I try to have little knickknacks over here. One of my friends did, from one of the companies of sport, did give me this little guy here. So I took it off her hand, and she's a nice elderly lady. Gave this to me, and I told her that if people make me upset, then I'll turn my back on them. So, and that's what I'm going to do. So don't make me angry, or you're going to get grandpa on you. So this guy will be out here. I'm going to have little knickknacks. I kind of have a little meaty from Rick and Morty. Yeah. So I have a little guy, dark hair down here. So if you start seeing little knickknacks pop up from time to time, that's just a little bit of me to kind of like show the show. Again, thank you so much for joining me, and we will see you next Thursday. If you want to be a guest on the show, just message me. I'm always looking for, I have my family and friends on here all the time. I really appreciate their support. But if you are an artist, if you're a musician, if you're another writer, who have a podcast, or anything else that you want to promote, please let me know. I'm kind of running this, not only running my short stories, but I love having people on here and helping them promote their businesses and their products and their bands and their music and their creativeness. So if you want to be on the show, please let me know. I'd love to have you on here. And please don't wait for me to message you because I am quite shy when it comes to just coming out and talking. Very social in this kind of setting and gatherings, but when it comes to actually
very social introvert.
Very social introvert. Yeah, is that a thing? I'm a social introvert. So I'm a social, an extrovert introvert. So it's I'm an oxymoron. So or just a moron, one of the two. But we're gonna mouse that. Try not to make this too awkward by still talking. All right, so I'm gonna say goodbye real quick to Facebook and YouTube because I have to walk over to my phone like it's still the '80s And to turn off.
Caveman.
I know. I gotta walk over. There's no like button.
Bye Facebook.
Bye Facebook. Bye YouTube.